Yeah. I want to go here. Not TikTok. Twitter. That's what I wanted to press. Twitter. Why does that? I was going to do the Slinky song. Okay, and this looks too high. Let's lower that a bit. Okay, hey, good morning. Thanks for dropping by. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And this is Ask a Traffic Cop. And if you're watching on YouTube, it says it like right there, along with some other stuff over there and there. We're trying some new stuff. We're playing with OBS, trying to make it work. We can even do buttons like this and make it look that way. And yeah, I don't know what I like better yet. We're working on things. We're trying to make the best product. This is a product. The best product, the best show that we can provide. A couple of things we'll talk about once we say hello to some of our friends who are popping in from various platforms. Kayla Dracona says, greetings and salutations. When I win the Harley, should I give it to my son Aiden for his 24th birthday today? Well, first of all, Aiden, happy birthday. Happy 24th birthday. That's amazing. We're glad that we can share it. I'm assuming he's listening. Otherwise, this was all for naught. Yeah, I guess you could consider giving him a motorcycle, but does he deserve a motorcycle? Your friends at Traffic Services might. Listen, if he's a rider, that's awesome. But anyway, you can get your tickets by going to www.harleyraffle.ca. Oh yes, indeed. You can buy raffle tickets to win a Harley, and the money goes to Special Olympics Ontario, a great organization doing great things. What is going on today? Well, we want to talk about the fact that Vision Zero enforcement team is out and about doing magical things. They are changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. No hugs from these guys and gals. They are there to change driver behavior, give you that not so nice moment for making you responsible for what you did to get stopped. They issue the ticket, and hopefully it's the last time you ever see them because you'll change your behavior from that point going forward. Where are they today? They are focused on Vision Zero duties in 22 Division and 41 Division. That is at the neighborhoods. Those are the neighborhoods of Etobicoke West Mall, Queensway, Etobicoke, Wexford, Maryville, and Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchmount. These are neighborhoods that those divisions are supporting. And it's not to say that the divisional officers that are already working there aren't doing a wonderful job. This is just more boots on the ground, more people trying to make the road safer for everyone. How do we know where to go? Well, it is the big brain folks, our analytics department, who go and determine based on the information gathered on collisions and different areas to see where we need to be and when we need to be there. And that's what we do. We go there. Hey, if you are not already a follower of our channel, please consider following us because we go live Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We answer your traffic and police questions. And let's talk about how you can do that. If you're on TikTok, you can hit that interact button, the question mark with the bubble. That's the Q&A. That will allow you to leave a message for me in particular because I don't read the chat. But that's how you can ask me a question. And if you are asking questions in the chat, know that it's going to be a moderator, a volunteer, an unpaid member, not a police officer, somebody from the community on TikTok who decided to help us out. And they are here every day and they know stuff. So if you want to ask questions for me, ask it there. If you want to ask a moderator, ask it in the chat. But please don't spam. Please be kind. And remember, everyone here, other than myself, is volunteering. Actually, that's not true. To my left and wearing headphones is Erin Urquhart. She's a parking enforcement officer with the Toronto Police and a media relations officer, a guru of sorts. And she joins us when she can right here in the studio. So if you've got questions about parking, feel free to ask them because someone who actually knows the answer to that. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And if you send a message, apparently I haven't made you a moderator. Let's make you a moderator.
Yeah, I was going to say I can type and talk to people, but
type and talk. Let me. If you type a message, I'm going to right now make you a moderator.
Hey.
And Q, how are you doing today? As I buy time to make a moderator out of. Here we go.
I'm doing okay.
Manage.
Just making sure that people in chat aren't being rude.
Well, it's all about getting along. We want everyone to have a good time here. This is not just information; it's sometimes a lot of fun. So we want to make sure that it's enjoyable for everybody to get involved. Let's see here. Oh, Akela says that Aiden is sleeping, but he's going to replay the show for him to make a joke. And Alan says, "Good morning, Sean and moderators. Happy Thursday, Lord Evan Gamer. I think you're new to the channel. Welcome. Okay, what's the speed limit? Police will actually pull you over. It's a great question. The speed limit is the speed limit. It's on the sign, and you're eligible for a ticket anytime you exceed the posted limit. That's the limit. There's no plus 5, 10, 20 that is permissible. Know that if you break the law at any amount, you're eligible, and you shouldn't be doing it. It's all about keeping the road safe, and when you speed, you're contributing to a less safe environment, especially for vulnerable road users. Folks in cars and cages, with those airbags and whatnot, if you get into a minor collision, you repair paint. When you hit a pedestrian, they may never walk again. So let's keep people safe. Can a G2 driver teach me manual on private property? Absolutely. If you're on private property, the Highway Traffic Act requiring you to have a license doesn't apply. So the requirement of having a fully licensed G driver beside you really isn't there because we can't lay a charge even if we wanted to. But please be aware that if you do end up in a collision, you're likely going to be denied collision coverage by your insurance because you're not supposed to be doing it without the conditions being met, and they may have a problem with it. Big Jeff Fresh says good morning, and let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Lots of things to talk about today, only because it's Friday Junior. It's not really. It's less amazing, than. But anyway. I have new buttons. Let's see here. What is the speed on the highway? Again, the speed on the highway is the posted limit. Exceeding it could make you the next recipient of a wonderful POT that would provide both points and a financial loss because you'd have to pay for a ticket if you got one. When is the deadline for getting G license? Well, it all depends on what you have right now. If you have a G1 or a G2 in the province of Ontario and it expired March 1st, 2020 or later, you're covered right up until the end of this year, December 31st, 2022. That is when the extension period is over, and at that point you'd be expired, and you'd have to figure out how to get the next level or reapply and start again. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. What is the difference between parked or stopped?
Oh. That is a good question.
It is a good question. I'll refill my water while you answer it.
Okay, so the difference between parking and stopping, no stopping is just that. You cannot stop once your vehicle has come to a halt or you have ceased movement, you are considered stopped. So that means if you are sitting on the side of a road, touching your brake, parked is when you actually have put the gear in park and there's some exemptions for no parking zones for certain people and certain drivers, like people with accessible permits. You're allowed to park in a no parking zone, but you're not allowed to park in a no stopping zone. Deliveries, etc. You get 10 minutes on side streets in no parking zones, but no stopping is a lot more restrictive. It's just you cannot stop, and I have done videos on all of this on my account and the parking account. So
now the parking account is Parking TPS, and that's across all social media platforms, including TikTok, and your account is TPS_bikehart, where you can bug her 24/7 with questions. She likes them at 3 in the morning most of the time. But in terms, now that was a great example of what's the difference between parking and stopping when it comes to parking offenses. When it comes to driving offenses, we actually discuss handheld communication devices. If you're using your cell phone when you're in park or you're stopped at a red light, that's still driving. You're not legally permitted to use your cell phone unless you are legally parked. That means somewhere you could get out, walk away, and leave your car legally parked and not get a ticket. If you're in a no stopping zone or no standing zone, that is not a place you can use your cell phone. So just wanted to add that extra level of clarification. And also welcome Sergeant Murray Campbell, who has jumped in. He's not necessarily close to a microphone, but he's here. He's
Hey,
there.
Sean. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Excellent. It's been a while since
I was going to say we missed you all week. It's wrong.
Well, I'm back. Had a busy week. Had a very busy week.
Yes, we didn't even see you aside from coffee, we didn't see you the rest of the day. Let's see here. Here's Moody with a question for Aaron. How do you know if someone exceeds a 2-hour parking zone?
Oh, so any timed limit offense, we have a couple of methods where we time them. So the most common one that everyone knows is that we chalk the tire. We come back 2 hours later, and if the chalk mark is fresh, then it is ticketable. And there's another one that I don't know if I want to divulge into.
Maybe we keep the secrets and just
I'll
know
just
that we know.
say what it is. It's called valve stemming. So I will leave that up for interpretation.
Oh, yes, I totally get that.
Yes, so that's another method.
That's where we cut off the valve stem.
No, but there's a couple different methods, but the easiest way is chalking a tire, and if the chalk mark is, if you wipe it off, you move your car a couple inches, there's a little, I shouldn't be saying this, but yeah.
No, you shouldn't be saying this. Oh, secret sauce of the show. This is
the-
why people need to follow and watch our lives. They can
Well, no,
find out
this
all the
is-
things they're not supposed to know.
Yeah, this is why we do this, is to educate people. But
Yeah.
I can give a little insides to.
That's it.
No more.
We got a hi, good morning from Stephen, who's a regular visitor of our lives. Why? Oh, okay. We're going to come back to this. Can you get a ticket if you emergency parked?
Oh, we answered this the other day. No. Well, not from
Well,
me.
I don't know what we mean by emergency parked.
Like-
Do you mean like you're having an emergency because you have to go to the washroom and you park somewhere you're not supposed to? Or if it's a police officer, can you get a ticket? So I guess the you is the questionable you. If it's me as a police officer responding to a call and I have to put my car somewhere that is not a legal parking spot, but I am justified to be there because I'm responding to an emergency, whether I get a ticket or not is irrelevant. It would be removed. It would be canceled because it's for a lawful purpose.
Yes.
We do our best, but we can't be expected to walk 6 blocks at the most available or the first available parking spot when someone's life is at risk and we're running to respond to that threat.
Yes.
I think that's, but it's really hard to decipher some of these questions because I don't know if you mean you generally, you,
Yeah, it's the
Sean, you,
context.
Aaron. Let's see here. My wife is watching. Hello, family. Hopefully my kids are having snacks and whatnot watching the show. This is try and time the show specifically so they can be on break from school. Love you guys. Can't wait to come home. Let's see here. Kayla says, tell me what sounds and or photos you want. I'll see what I can do. Oh, apparently we've got a sound library. Okay. We'll talk, Kayla. Lord Evan Gamer says, if someone is cutting you off due to road rage, what should you do? Well, it depends on the situation. If it was a simple cutting off, maybe it was an error, maybe it's not road rage. If it's really road rage, back off, get some distance between that person. You don't want any kind of contact with that individual. Let them take their anger and move somewhere else. If it's something that's continuing, you may want to be calling police to get involved because if they're targeting you, it's not a simple thing that you can just sort of slow down or speed up to move away from them. Let's see here. We got a lot of parking questions today. Why is it legal for parking enforcement officers to chalk? What gives you the right to touch their vehicle? I think is the expansion of that question.
Well, because you do not have a right to leave your car on a city street, and we have the right to enforce it. We are officers that are considered peace officers. We're sworn in to the Toronto Police Service, and if it's on a city street, the city has every right to even tow your vehicle to relocate it. So it's on a city street. That's why.
Yeah, put it on our street. We got access to it. It makes it okay.
Private property, different story, but on a city street, yes.
Okay, good to know. tps.on.ca/careers. Would you like to become a member of the Toronto Police Service? We'd love to have good applicants come join our team. So if you have an interest in either being a paid member as a police officer, parking enforcement officer, special constable, we even have civilian jobs like people working in our tech, mechanics. We have a huge organization with many, many functions. We also have volunteers. I started my career with the Toronto Police as a volunteer. I was an auxiliary officer, and then I became a court officer, and then I became a police officer. I've worn many different hats and had many different roles. It is a job, a career that has many different jobs within it. So check us out, www.tps.on.ca/careers. I like to use the full line because I've been saying the same website for 20 years, torontopolice.on.ca, but apparently we're getting smaller in the URL. Is there an official rule for the left lane? It's officially there's passing lane, I think, is what we're getting into, and whether you can occupy it when you're not actively passing. In traffic, you occupy everything. If there is an opportunity to move to the right because it's not occupied, you should be in the right lane unless you're actively passing. And something that really bends people's minds is unless you are passing, or when you are passing, you cannot exceed the speed limit. You're only allowed to pass up until the speed limit. As soon as you exceed the speed limit, you're breaking the law. So where should people be? You should be in a lane to the right. And there are people who can legally exceed the speed limit. It's just not you. It's police, fire, and ambulance. Sarge, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say that recently, provincial highways, they now have signs indicating that slower traffic should be traveling to the right. So if you are traveling to the left, first of all, if you're impeding somebody from passing you, there's a charge for that. Fail to facilitate passing. If you are traveling at the same speed or slower in the left lane, especially on the provincial highways that are signed for you not to do that, then there's another offense there, and it's disobey sign.
And if you're actively trying to change lanes to prevent someone from passing you, that's actually stunt driving.
It is.
And that's when we take your car for 14 days, we suspend your license for 30, and your insurance goes through the roof as a byproduct of your activity. And here's a great question. It says, can I put my phone between my legs when driving? Obviously not concerned about any kind of radiation or radio waves. I would be doing that. But it's also a law. You cannot... that's considered use, oddly, and the courts have upheld charges against drivers who put their phones in their laps because it goes to the fact that there's active use. There's a whole bunch of lag going on YouTube. That's not working very well. Maybe we won't be doing this next time, but we're trying some new things. I just looked over. Q, I don't know if you can see what I can see, but it doesn't look good for me. Or does it look good for you?
I see what you
Oh, it looks
see.
good. Oh, interesting. Well, on my end, on the other computer, it looks pretty good. So I don't know. Let me know on YouTube if you're seeing horrible lag. If you're seeing horrible lag, we won't do this again until we get our dedicated connection. All right, moving on. What is this? Can I get a ticket if Class 1 truck driver for food? I don't know what that question means. Do you know what that question means? Class 1 truck driver for food? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, me neither.
Can I carry a pocket knife? Generally speaking, a pocket knife is something you can carry. Depends on where you're going. Some places have rules about carrying those in. But is it illegal to simply have a pocket knife? No. There are knives that are prohibited, and if you are carrying it for a purpose that isn't lawful, that's a different situation. So it depends is really the most appropriate answer. As soon as you do something with it, then you also choose your own adventure, and things tend to go negatively. But it depends. If you're opening envelopes and cutting your orange, those are lawful uses of a knife. Let's see here. Is the parking laws the same for here in London? And I assume you mean London, Ontario. Hello. I was there not too long ago. The municipal laws for parking are going to differ to some degree. Basic laws are probably going to be the same.
Yeah, I haven't been to London, Ontario since I was in college, which is like a decade ago. There goes my age. I can't speak on that. I don't know. I don't know what the parking bylaws are like in London, but I'd assume that Toronto is a bit more busier in terms of, parking at least downtown and whatnot.
So there might be more leniency in smaller communities.
Yeah, and like in smaller, or I don't know how big London is really, but yeah, I can't really answer that.
Here's a great question. Can you drive with two headphones in? In Ontario, you can. However, other jurisdictions in the United States and Canada may have different rules. Some say you can only cover one earbud or ear hole, and some say you can wear two. But Ontario is one where you can have no hearing at all, regardless of whether you're capable of or have the ability to hear, or you're simply preventing yourself from hearing. It's not illegal, but it is unsafe, and it's not suggested. We definitely would prefer that you, if you have the ability to hear, that you use that. It's that spidey sense when you hear the screeching tires, when you hear the loud engine, when I hear sirens. These are all things that make me, for me anyway, a better driver. Now, that's not to say people who cannot hear are not better. They're just definitely aware of the fact that they need to look more, so they're more attentive. They're not listening to music rocking out. So, you got to make your own decisions. It's not illegal, but it's not necessarily safe. How much cereal can I eat while driving? The deal is that you really shouldn't be eating cereal while you're driving. It's not illegal to consume food. However, if you're using a spoon and you're holding a bowl, you're likely not holding the steering wheel. And if you don't have a hand on the steering wheel, it's very well careless driving. Would you support that? Careless driving while eating cereal? I think so. I think it says it on the Kellogg's box.
I was going to say, it all depends on what kind of cereal it is. Oatmeal, I think, I won't go there. No, it would definitely be careless. If your attention is on eating something and is taken off the road, or your hands off the wheel, absolutely.
Oh, and just to let everybody know, the moderators have sent us a message. The people who are responsible for spam officially suck. Thanks very much for making it a less fun experience for some of our viewers. We want everyone to have a good time here. If you're here to spam, please go away. Nobody likes you. It's really unfortunate that people on the internet see it fit to to be disruptive. It's not appropriate. It doesn't affect me, so if you're trying to upset me, you're failing miserably. You're only upsetting other people who are here to get information, and that's why we're here, to give that information. So you suck. Okay. Can I drive by myself with a learner's permit? No, you may not. You may not, but hang on one second. I'm going to try and put the folks who are experiencing horrible lag out of their misery. I want to just do
The lag out of its
here.
misery, correct?
It's the lag, yeah. Let's see here if I can switch this to this, and it should be a lot better. We're going to just stop this. Okay. I don't know if the audio is going to, let's see here. I can change this to audio. Oh, I'm trying to change audio on a machine that's not even connected to the audio. Sorry, folks. We were
You're
just
good.
pausing for, is it
You're okay.
still synced?
Yeah, you're good.
It shouldn't be synced. Your audio, we're going to go here to Zoom. Maybe this makes it better. No? Do we mess around with the audio and screw it up? Let's go back. Hang on one second. Corrects it. Let us know if everything is back to normal. We had some quick checking. I can't tell. We had a 200 millisecond delay, which I can change if we need to.
We're good.
We're good. Okay, Q says we're good. We're going to keep it going. All right. So can I drive by myself with a learner's? Obviously not. A learner's permit is a very specific requirement that you must be escorted by or supervised by a fully licensed G-class driver with more than 4 years experience. That experience begins when they get their G2, so a total time as a supervisor has to be 4 years in order for them to be a supervisor. So, yeah, what happens if you drive regardless of that information? Well, if you decide to drive alone and you're caught, it's going to be a 30-day suspension, $110 ticket. Additionally, the insurance company will not cover you in the event of an insurance because you're not a licensed driver. If you are caught again, 90 days on your second conviction, and third time get kicked out of the program. You will not be able to continue, and any monies and or time that you've invested will go bye-bye. Okay.
And we get to tow your car.
And we get to tow your car. You're right. Well, you actually can't leave it in the middle of the road.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good point. Let's see here. If I have cough syrup that has opiates, then drive. Your cough syrup has opiates and then drives. Can I get in trouble? Yeah, if you're impaired, whether it be drugs or alcohol, you can be charged for impaired operation. It's a criminal offense. So yeah, you can't take drugs even if it's for medical purposes and be impaired and still operate a motor vehicle.
Yeah, it's any drug, any alcohol, and that includes prescription drugs as well. If you're taking prescription drugs prescribed by your doctor that impairs your ability to operate a vehicle, then it's an impaired driving for sure. We have the ability to check on all sorts of different classes of medications, including opiates. So yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it is right.
Someone in chat said, is it a law to pull over for volunteer firefighters?
Oh, that's a great question. So if you want to be a good human, you do exactly that, because volunteer firefighters are members of the community who are making an effort to do good things like save people, prevent your houses and things from being burned to the ground. They're trying to help. They volunteer. You're not legally obligated to move over, but again, you see a green light in your rearview mirror. They are trying to get somewhere. It would be the right thing to do to move over and let them pass, but it's not a legal requirement. You can't get a ticket for being inhumane. Is it inhumane? What's the right word? I've been using bozo a lot.
Yeah, well,
Unethical.
maybe all three of those.
Immoral.
Immoral?
Immoral.
I
How
think
many
is the word.
ways can we be somewhat polite in saying that it's the wrong thing not to pull over? Let's see here. What's happening with license plate stickers? It's already happened. They're done. They're gone. They're finished. They're over. You need to renew online to maintain your renewal, but you don't have to have the physical sticker present because they don't issue them anymore. Unless.
No, I wasn't going to go there, but unless it's a commercial motor vehicle
Yes.
or a snowmobile.
I figured that's where you were going.
That's one that bugs me. I'm not allowed to ride my snowmobile on a roadway anywhere. I can go across it directly in 90 degrees, but they still want to collect road taxes from me when I'm operating my snowmobile
that
on
line-
crown land or private properties.
The line when you cross the road.
I guess that's what they...
Here's a question about
Well, before you do
snowmobile.
that, I got a question on the screen.
Okay.
It's, can you run menthol I think you meant methanol, but you wrote menthol in a car for more power.
Are they talking ethanol or methanol?
Well, they put
Methanol-
they put menthol.
Methanol comes from wood alcohol. Ethanol comes from grain alcohol. And there's ethanol in our gas right now. So
It depends what you actually meant. And could you put wood stuff?
a
little wood stove?
it burns, but I don't believe your car would function very well.
Okay, there must be some reason for the question because 6 people asked yesterday. We just never got to it. Yes. Someone wants to know how to cross public roads on a snowmobile if the roads don't directly intersect. You got to go, Aaron?
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow
Bye,
we'll see you
Crispy
tomorrow
Pants.
for Friday.
Sorry, Sean, I missed that question.
It was the how to cross a public road on a snowmobile if the roads don't directly intersect.
They have to directly intersect. You
So-
can only cross a public road at a 90-degree angle. You must be over the age of 16 years old, and you must have a driver's license.
Okay. Oh, there you go. There's your answer.
And-
I know nothing about snowmobiles, so I openly say that I know nothing about snowmobiles.
You know what? We direct people off-road bikes and stuff like that they don't have their license. They can get off and push it directly across the roadway.
With a snowmobile, that must
With
be
a
a lot of pain.
snowmobile, they can't really do that. So
We have spam from one person that specifically likes cereal. Maybe you get a cereal bar. Maybe that's the way to go. But thank you for spamming. I'm going to mute you for a few minutes so you can not spam us. Amir wants to go live with us, and that's not the question that popped up when I hit can we go live with you. So the reason I want to talk about this question of can I go live with you, let's try this again, is that we are not taking people to go live on our TikTok. That's not generally how we do things. We have to know you before we can get you online. However, if you think that you know somebody or would be a good person to be on our podcast called TPS Traffic Jam, then let us know. You can write to us at Traffic Safety Programs, and that's at torontopolice.on.ca. So traffic safety programs at torontopolice.on.ca. If you email us there and let us know why you think you should be on our podcast, we'd love to have some new guests because we're always looking for people to, share valuable information. Like Yona, absolutely. Yona Budd. Is he in the room right now?
He's
I'm not
on
looking
LinkedIn.
at the chat. LinkedIn. Yona, how's it going? We got to talk. It's perfect timing. Not to. Oh no, it's great. Okay, I'll reach out afterwards. We got to schedule you in. Yona is well. I won't get into the whole thing, but Yona has a radio show that I've appeared on, and he does a lot of different things. And we want to talk about road rage and stress behind the wheel. And I think that's a great thing. So we got to do a podcast episode. Absolutely. Can you get a ticket for going 5 over the speed limit? That is the question, and the answer is absolutely. Speeding occurs at any amount of speed over the limit. The difference in the number of kilometers recorded is to determine how many dollars, and go to what you have to pay. But it's still an offense under the Highway Traffic Act, one or more. Actually, I guess a fraction of one technically.
yeah, anything over.
Yeah, the goal is don't actually go. If you were playing a video game and you would and the game ends the moment you hit the number, which is the speed limit, you would never hit the speed limit. You would stay one below. Well, that's probably a good goal.
Yeah,
Not a very popular goal.
there's no good reason for speeding at all.
I just said this in the video I posted this morning. Leave early, plan ahead, put your clothes out the night before. Do things to make sure that you do the safest, you have the safest and most relaxing drive. I like to always reference what I learned as a police cadet, which is early is on time is late is unacceptable. And oddly enough, I was watching Ashton Kutcher's show called The Ranch. And his father, who's played by, his name escapes me right now, he says the same thing. So obviously we didn't make it up at the Toronto Police. That is a very standard line. I wonder where it originated. If you know where that line came from, please let me know. I'd love to hear. Let's see. How do I register a motorcycle without a license? Do I get a plate? So you don't have to have a license to register a vehicle because ownership of a vehicle is different than using it. You would get a registered, it's a RIN. It's a registered
Right. They'd assign you a RIN number. So it's a registrant information number or identification number.
So you can own it, but then you still can't operate it.
That RIN number becomes your driver's license number when you do get actually licensed. So you could own it, you can insure it, and allow other people to operate it, but you wouldn't be able to operate on the road.
And you got to know that if you were to do that, where you let other people own it, drive it, you own it, you need to make sure that you have that they are properly licensed to operate it, because if they were to be stopped and unlicensed, you as the owner would be responsible for ensuring that anyone operating that vehicle is properly licensed to do so, and you could be charged under the Highway Traffic Act for not making sure that that was the case. You've permitted or enabled it to happen.
And you're probably not insured at the same time, so do you really want to risk your vehicle to be maybe in a collision destroyed?
Well, yeah, because the insurance company will deny a claim if an unlicensed driver is operating
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. Q reminds us to boop the snoop. That is on TikTok and Instagram. Please double tap that screen to show the platform that you like what we're doing and that other people should be watching too. 6 people have shared this live. We've had 7,000 likes. More is always good. In fact, we have folks that are on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn. Please share and our content and help other people find us, because the more the merrier. We're all about keeping the road safe, making it safer for every road user, whether you're in a car, motorcycle, bicycle, or on foot, and it is you who can help us. And when you refer us to other people, you know what? That's more than just liking. It's not the algorithm telling people they should check it out. It's a friend, someone that they trust, and that is important. Sam Elliott, thank you very much. His name was on the tip of my tongue. Big Jeff Fresh says, Sam Elliott is the dad on The Ranch. And I've been binge watching it, episodes every night, even when I should be sleeping. It's probably why I've been so tired. It's very funny. It's basically a 70s show with horses, except you never see the horses. They allude to them. Actually, it's cows, not even horses. Okay, let's see what I missed by not looking directly at this screen for a few minutes. We've got... Okay, we already covered the sick and coughing. DUI, we covered that. Yes, Rob Baker, it was horrendous. I'm not doing that test again. Okay, we're up to date. We are up to date. Let's go here. Will you ticket for loud exhausts? Absolutely. I had to make sure I didn't say that. That there's an absolutely version that I say that is not appropriate for broadcast. But yes, yes, we do, and for good reason, because the people who live in the communities that we serve don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. It's considered unnecessary noise, and it's a valid thing to want to sleep at night instead of hearing your exhaust. And just in general, if it's too loud, whether it be stereo, exhaust, horn for no reason, squealing tires, all of those things qualify for unnecessary noise. So you should also know that if it's making that much noise, it's likely behavior. That's a very common reason for noise, being that you're choosing to rev the engine when there's no need. It could be that it's defective, which is something where you're still responsible. And finally, it could be modified. Someone may have decided to make it louder on purpose. Either way, it's unnecessary and it's unlawful. Can an underage driver drive on private property? Can or should is two different things. I won't endorse underage drivers, but do we have the means to lay charges for not having a license? No, on private property we can't. So if you were on private property and you were not licensed, you could operate it and not fear for charges. However, there is a situation where you cannot, still can't stunt. You still be responsible for anything that happens. And we're still seeing crazy lag on YouTube. Interesting. We're not going to use this machine for it next time. Sorry, guys, for those that are on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else. Technical difficulties while we experiment and try making the show better, but it didn't work. Let's see here. Can you get pulled over for having a brake light out? Well, sure you can, because we might want to let you know that you need to repair your brake light. You may be unaware, maybe you missed your circle check. So that's a reasonable thing. Can you get a ticket for having one taillight out? No. Well, depends. If your lens is broken and it's shining white light to the rear, it's an improper light, and that could result in a ticket. If it's simply a light that's burnt out, you're only required to have one. So you shouldn't be getting a ticket. Now, that said, your headlights, you need to have 2 of those. 2 headlights, 1 brake light. That is what the HTA says.
Marker lights, Sean? Those are the red lights at the back when you're driving down the road?
If it's not illuminating at all, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, well, you have to. You know what? brake light, it doesn't state in my recollection, it doesn't say marker light versus brake light for the purposes of the requirement. I think you just have to have one functioning light, and it has to tell you when you're stopping, and it has to
red
be
light
on
to
all the
red.
time.
Yep, you're absolutely correct.
Cool. You had me scared for a second.
You know what? I can't get you up on the board then.
We have a little friendly competition going about oopsie doos as to whether we answer things correctly. And if you ever catch us making a mistake, we actually would love to hear from you. We wouldn't be offended if you said we were making a mistake, and if we thought we were wrong and we confirmed it, we will admit it. And if we are right, we'll do a little dance because generally speaking, we are.
Okay, I want to see a dance.
I actually said it's in my contract. I can't dance. I can't dance, and it's like on camera, just can't happen. Off camera, no problem. If I slap a 6266 turbo on my K series, will my car? And I don't know where the rest of the question is. Will my car get towed for making 500 WHP?
So you can modify your vehicle to increase the horsepower as long as you don't change the effectiveness of the emissions equipment that's on there or make it unsafe.
So generally speaking, how powerful car, if it's not unsafe, you can still have it.
Absolutely.
As soon as you make it such, like some people drop their cars to the point of ridiculous, and that's unsafe. People stretch tires over things. That's having the improper equipment that affects safety. That's going to come off the road, and we're going to take your plates. But everything else within reason is okay.
Yep, absolutely.
And I say within reason because it depends. You could still do things. You know what? Use a trusted mechanic. YouTube may not be the source of all information, even though we're on YouTube giving you information.
No, if it's on the internet, it's true.
Yeah. Why is there a ticket for Tint? Well, Tint is one of those funny things. There are two things. There's you being able to see out, and there's us being able to see in. And us is the public. It's not just about the police. It's about everybody. So why should the police need to see you? Well, we need to see if you're wearing your seatbelt, using your cell phone, consuming alcohol. Maybe you're a wanted person. Maybe we need to identify you in relation to the collision that just occurred down the street and someone didn't stick around. If we can't see in, we can't exclude you or include you in our investigation. You are now an anomaly, and now it's a problem. Additionally, members of the public who may want to make eye contact with the driver because they want to cross the street, may want to be able to identify someone who's running from a collision or a crime. There's so many reasons why we need to see it. It's not just about covering it up so you can pick your nose in private. There's no reasonable expectation of privacy when you're in public, and that includes your car, oddly enough. People who can't see out, well, that's another thing. You can't have anything on your front windshield that is unsafe. You can't reduce your ability to see. How do people see? Well, it's light, right? Light comes in, bounces off that optical nerve in the back of your eyeball, and that's how you see. If you reduce the light, you reduce your ability to see. You may be able to make out what's going on. You may even think it's pretty good, but you are actually reducing the amount of light that you're getting into your eye, and you are reducing your ability to see. We can argue it all day long, but that's one of the reasons why you can't reduce there's a limit as to how much you can reduce. The limit is 30% light blockage of the windows right and left of the driver. Anything more than that, your vehicle is unsafe. And again, you can get a ticket for having, and in fact, we can pull your plates. If you have windshield tint or if you have tint that is darker than 30% on the windows left and right of the driver, pull your plates, send you for safety, have to reapply for your license plates. So what's the answer? Don't tint your windows so dark. Buy glasses. If you have sensitivity to light, buy sunglasses. You can get them for $3 at Shoppers, or you can get fancy schmancy ones, whatever you want. But that is the way to regulate how much light is coming in to your eyes. A lot of people have light sensitivity. In some provinces, in some states, you can actually get a doctor's note to say you can have tint on places where otherwise you wouldn't be able to. Ontario is not one of those places. They believe in sunglasses.
And you know what? Your windshield is treated already, so the UV rays do not actually come through your windshield.
Is it just for UV, or is it just the windshield that's UV coated, or is the whole vehicle UV coated?
I'm going to say some vehicles it's all the windows, and some it's just the windshield.
Wild, wild, wild. Okay. Where in the HTA states left lane for passing? Well, there's a section that says you have to obey signs, and there are signs that are regulated that say stay to the right unless you're passing. The concept of using the left lane as a passing lane, I don't think it's an HTA specific designation. I think it's going to be a common rule of the road thing.
Right, and if you're in the left lane and you're failing to facilitate other vehicles from passing you, there's your charge. And like we said, on the provincial highways, there's signs that say slower traffic, keep right.
Yeah, and so again, it's not about. Sometimes the HTA is enforceable because of things written in it, and some things are that we come to a conclusion because other things are written into it, and the leftover means that you that you have left with a charge because it's not stated any other way. So if you have to be able to let people pass, and slow traffic is impeding, and impeding is an offense under the Highway Traffic Act, so it's unnecessary slow driving, and within that charge it states that you cannot impede the flow of traffic without a reason. Well, if you're in the left lane and you're going slower than other traffic, you're impeding traffic. So that's, I think, how it gets broken down. But now I want to do the history of left lane, staying out of the left lane, and if no sign is present. But if you look at city streets, they're really that we don't usually refer to left lane for passing on city streets. It's really about expressways.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing specific in the Highway Traffic Act that says the left lane. The left lane on the expressways that are signed for both, trucks. Trucks can't use the left lane, and the reason for that is they're normally slower than the rest of the flow of traffic. But now, and it's quite recently, we used to have signs saying left lane for passing. Now the signs that are up there are slower traffic, keep right.
Yeah,
and those are official signs, and you have to follow them.
They're regulated. At the end of the day, it's all about safety. It makes sense. What really drives people crazy is they say, I want to speed, and people who are just doing the limit are in front of me, and they're really bothered by that. I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who are speeding. The limit is the limit. If you don't like it, don't drive. Let's see here. But I'm doing the speed limit. I don't know. That's out of context. Oh, where is the HDA states left lane for passing? And the follow-up is, but I'm doing the speed limit. So yes, I appreciate that. And I'm one of the people who advocates for not exceeding the speed limit. But here's a scenario. Police, fire, and ambulance can exceed the speed limit. They can do so legally. If you're not passing, then move to the right so that on the highway, so that police, fire, and ambulance don't have to ride the shoulder and constantly ask people to move out of the way when there's really no necessity to if there's lots of room everywhere else. So if you stay out of that lane, it leaves a clear path for police, fire, and ambulance to respond to calls. Additionally, when we are responding to calls and we're forced to go into the shoulder, we often find ourselves with blown out tires. So it's a risk. So this is all about safety for everybody.
And if you're traveling at the speed limit and everybody else is traveling at the speed limit, then there's no reason you shouldn't be in the middle of the right lane because you're all moving in the same flow of traffic.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let the left lane be open but if you're traveling at the same speed as everybody else, you are stopping people from passing. You're failing to facilitate it. That's in the wording of the charge. And you know what? Police don't always drive police cars. So sometimes when I'm out there,
obvious police cars.
Right. So my car that I operate, you wouldn't know it's a police car. But I can exceed the speed limit, and I can go to where I'm going to. If it's an emergency, I'm faster than everybody else.
Yeah, there's good reason for it, and people. This is a good segue into why are police allowed to speed? And they're allowed to speed because they. Sorry, let me rephrase. Why are police officers speeding in marked or unmarked vehicles without the lights and sirens active? That's the issue. And the answer is when we activate those lights and sirens, it causes everybody else to do funny things. It's unpredictable sometimes. They're supposed to pull over to the right and stop, but very often they stop in the middle of the road.
I have seen some absolutely ridiculous driving behavior as soon as I turn the lights on. Like just people panic.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do.
What did I do? What did I do wrong? And I'll tell you, even when I see lights behind me, I check. Was I speeding? What was I doing? Did I do something wrong? You start questioning yourself, and most people would. It's a natural response. And then after you've done all this checking, you then go, oh, it must not be me. I'll just pull over and get out of the way. But there's that few moments where you're questioning things, and that's taking you away from the focus of driving and just not being in the way. Now, there are times we have to turn the lights and sirens on, both because of legislation or because someone's in the way and we need them to get out of the way. We'll turn them on for that purpose, turn them off again and keep going because it really is for our safety. Let's see. We talked about that. We sort of talked about loud. What are the rules for loud exhausts? Well, loud exhausts can't be loud, or legally you can't have a loud exhaust that's beyond 74 decibels at idle. But again, you could have a stock, brand new Honda out of the that's not considered a loud car, And if you rev it up and drive around at 20 kilometers an hour at 9,000 RPM, it's going to make noise. It's unnecessary. And that's where it is. It's not a specific thing. Now, you could have an improper exhaust because you cut it off, no exhaust straight pipe. That may cause other issues, and you could get a ticket for that alone, not because of the behavior, but because of defect or damage or choice. So hopefully that answers your question. What is this? Akela says, I worry about not being able to get out of the way when I see the lights on. Can I get over? Is the question that he asks himself. And yeah, it's exactly why we don't use lights unless it's absolutely necessary. What happens if you have a big sound system in your car? Still unnecessary noise if you choose to turn it up. Hey, if you're on private property, if you're at a car show, if you're at a competition, and you use your boombox or your subs or whatever you got going on to shake every screw loose in your vehicle, that's on you. It's not on the road. But you put that on the road, you're now eligible for the unnecessary noise HTA offense. What is this? Fine for not having a truck or trailer safety. So this is if your device is out of date. I don't know what the number is offhand. Maybe it's not something that I focus on when I'm on the road. We have CVSA guys that focus on that, and they would probably know. Actually, I guarantee you they would know offhand. But Sergeant Campbell's having a look.
Yeah, let me see if I can quickly just pull it up here. Don't know off by heart.
Can I walk a motorcycle to like the gas station or a friend's? I don't know if you mean like motorcycle or a dirt bike. If you're walking it, you're not operating it. If you're operating it, then you're breaking the law if it's a dirt bike. And assuming it's a motorcycle, or if we take, for instance, it's a motorcycle, as long as you're a licensed driver, you could ride it. But if it's out of gas, I guess you're walking it. But yeah, you could. Could I get pulled over for having minus 15 camber? I don't know what that number means. I'd look at it to see how the tire is hitting the ground. If your contact patch is on the corner of the edge of the tire, I'm going to say it's unsafe. 15 degrees doesn't sound extreme, but
yeah, it is.
Is 15 degrees?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Then Sergeant says yes. I've seen minor camber where you see a slight camber for cars that are taken to the track, so they can corner differently when weight transfer takes place. But it's not meant for the road, and it may be seen as unsafe, and it depends on the officer who's evaluating. So yeah, Sergeant Campbell says you could at 15 degrees have an issue. And it's not just a ticket. It's an unsafe vehicle charge, which means your vehicle's coming off the road. We're taking your plates. Would I get pulled over for driving like Vin Diesel? Well, Vin Diesel was driving on a closed track, I'm pretty sure, or in a movie. So if you were doing it under those conditions, you'd probably be okay. But if you're doing that on open streets without a film crew, without a license to do so, yeah, you're going to get pulled over. You're going to get charged for dangerous driving under criminal code, or you're going to get, at very least, stunt driving. My joke is that he was in a movie, and the movie's not real life.
So, Sean, in answer to our question, the trailer safety certification. So the $305 fine for the documentation that goes along with the certification, not having it with you, is also followed up with a $390 fine for not having it inspected and safetied.
So this is for trailers without an up-to-date certification safety device.
As long as it's a commercial motor vehicle operating it, and we get to you don't get to drive away with your trailer anymore.
You got to get it towed.
It has to be towed. And it probably have to be flatbed towed.
I was going to say, because
you can't tow a trailer.
You'd argue that it can't be towed.
So that would be floated off by a transport truck or a flatbed if it's
not cheap.
Yeah,
not cheap. Roro the Bro says, is bicycling without a helmet illegal? If you are under the age of 18, it would be illegal. You are required to wear a helmet unless you are over 18 or over, at which point you could choose to put your noggin in harm's way. So many minor collisions or falls become major brain damage situations because of the simple wearing or not wearing of a helmet. If you are 16 or over, 16, 17, that's it. 16 or 17, you get the ticket. If you're under the age of 16, parent or guardian will get the ticket. But it is a requirement to wear the helmet.
12, I believe. And a notice to your parent goes out.
Okay, this might be a check on the box. We'll double check, but
I do believe
I'm pretty sure it's 16 or 17 is optional, but is optional. No, sorry, 16 or 17 becomes when you write to the parent. But we have a. This is not. I've been called out.
There we go.
We're gonna check the facts and put up a check on the board depending on where we go. Let's see here. I've seen unmarked blow by red without lights. An unmarked vehicle blow by red without lights. If it's unmarked, I don't know how you knew it was a police officer, but a police vehicle that's going through a signalized intersection against the red is required by law to activate their lights and a audible sound. It has to, light siren something in order to go through that by law. So I don't know who would do that. We also care about safety, and we're responsible for everything we do. So if we were going through that intersection and caused a collision, that would be a bad day at the office. Okay. What if your car, what is that? What if you are slightly lower? What if you slightly lower your car? Is that legal? There are, if you lower your vehicle, my understanding is legally 1.5 inches is the maximum you can legally lower it. If you lower it beyond that, or if you lower it to a point where it's determined that it's unsafe, obviously it's going to be a problem. Unsafe. How would we as police officers do that? See, we don't look to see if you're 1.5 inches from stock. We look at it to see if there's any body contact, if there's any contact at compressed suspension. We'll shake and push your car to see if we can compress the suspension to create contact within body or frame. With tire, lock-to-lock steering. People do some pretty cheap Amazon-style mods. They buy some kits, they chop some springs, they do something that isn't legal or safe, and then they drive around. They put themselves at risk and others too. So slightly lowering might be okay. Get it done professionally. Don't do it yourself. And make sure that person knows what's legal and make sure that you are doing what's legal. On my own private property, can I stunt drive? The answer is no. In Ontario, you may not stunt drive, even on your own property. The only exemptions are racetracks and go-kart tracks, oddly enough. They specify, I would have just said racetrack and go-kart would qualify. But no, it's those two things and permitted events. Not permitted, well, I guess it's the same word. But if you have a permit for a film or a race car, like Indy, for instance, Honda Indy operates on streets. And they're allowed to do that because they've been given permits. And in fact, the law specifically states that any Indy event is excluded. So, but yeah, your backyard, your driveway, the farmer's field, the school parking lot, all those places are prohibited. They even went so far as to say underground, above ground, any parking structure, everything's being covered by the law. So sadly, you can't do it. And when the law first came in, I even said, well, how are you supposed to learn how to do your winter skidding and driving and stuff? I'm like, well, you know what? You should be learning how to not skid, not how to skid. And there's a very big difference. Intentionally making it skid so I can recover is different than learning how to drive to the point of not skidding or losing control. That whole loss of control, that's dangerous.
No matter where it is.
Yeah. It's and even going back to what we did at the police college on the track is we went to the point where we could control it. And sometimes it was forced to lose control. It was a very different and controlled situation on a track. But the goal was not to lose control. If it lost control, it's different. We weren't intentionally making it lose control. And I think that's it. The wording I'll have to work on. But when you make it lose control so you could regain control is different than taking it to the edge and then it goes out. It's just intention. But at the end of the day, we're not hanging out in your driveway. We're not in the bushes at the end of your lawn. There'd have to be a reason for us to be looking at you. So there's something to be said for that too. High beam laws, where can I use it? High beams, you can use them when nobody else is around effectively, nobody in front of you, nobody coming at you on the highway, divided or otherwise. You can't blind people with your headlights. And it states with the measurements, I don't know if it's 130 meters in front of you or 100. There's a couple of different measurements that escape me at the moment. But effectively, if you see another car, turn off your high beams, whether it be you're behind them or they're coming at you. With an M2 license, can you drive on the highway? Yes, an M2 license is similar to that of a G2. You can drive anywhere. The restrictions are primarily no alcohol in your blood.
Sean, just to follow up on the previous one,
Yeah.
it is 150 meters.
It is 150
So
meters?
oncoming vehicle have to have their low beams on if they're within 150 meters approaching you
Nice.
or following.
Do radar detector exist in cars anymore? They exist when people break the law and put them in cars. See, in Ontario, they're a prohibited device. You cannot possess them, you cannot purchase them, you cannot sell them. And simply having the suspicion that you have one provides us with the authority to search your vehicle and the persons therein. So what does that mean? If the hints or the reason for us to believe that you would have a speed measurement detector is pretty simple. We have a number of ways to determine that you have one, and if you do have one, we'll search your vehicle, we'll seize the item, and we'll charge you. It's $170 plus 2 demerit points, and some of those radar detectors and laser detectors are extremely expensive.
Yep, and we do have, I know there's one here, radar detectors.
Yes.
And they're an electronic device that we're allowed to have to know if you're driving by with one on, even if it doesn't make you react right then and there.
Yes.
And on top of that, we will search your car, and we will search the people in the car. And we can take apart the car to find out where it is.
And hopefully you have tools to put it back together.
Because we don't put it back together.
We don't put it back together. That upsets some people. But you know what? There's speed jammers, radar jammers. There's another thing. Anything that interferes with our ability to measure your speed is going to come under the same portion of law. So there's things out there that project or interfere with our ability to read your speed. That's an easy one to detect as well. And some of those are really like heavy duty install. That's a big removal side of the road. You know what the easiest way to avoid any of these issues?
Not do it.
Not do it. Don't speed, and don't put crap in your car that helps you speed, because all you're doing is increasing your risk of collision, increasing the risk that you're involved with hurting somebody or taking their life, and or your own for that matter. Speed limits are important. Speed kills. We did a whole campaign, and we weren't just trying to make money for buying a toaster oven for the break room. It's because we see people get hurt on a regular basis, and we know what the results of speed are. And people say, well, it's not the speed, it's the sudden stop. Okay. The chance of you being involved in a collision are, quadrupled, I think, at 10 kilometers over the speed limit. It's an amazing, the stats from Turf, they're all there. Go check out turf.ca, even though nobody asked. Okay. We're losing the folks in a minute and 30 seconds on Instagram.
John, what's Turf?
Oh, Traffic Injury Research Foundation, our friends and partners in traffic safety, turf.ca. And they would have found out eventually if they went there randomly. Let's see here. Do I need to add a G1 holder, my wife, in my insurance? Well, my wife is a perfect example to use in this story. My wife got her G1, and I called the insurance company to say, hey, why don't we add her to the insurance? And they said, thanks for calling, but we don't actually need to for G1. As soon as you go G2, we'll add her. So there was no extra charge. They acknowledged, they made a note, but that was it. Every insurance company could have a different policy and procedure. So you're best off to call the insurance company and verify what your insurance provider wants. But my experience has been that G1s don't get added. They're not licensed. You have to be in the car with them. Thus, there's no reason to add.
Yep. When my kids had their G1s, I called the insurance company, let them know. They wanted their name. They actually had their name already because my kids have been insured on our recreational vehicles for a long time. I wanted coverage for them and for other people should they be operating it. So they're aware of it, and they actually got given some driving experience accreditation so that their insurance is a little bit cheaper.
Yes, taking professional training is good. Question of, can motorcycles park for free in downtown Toronto? Anywhere that on-street pay and display is free parking for motorcycles. Additionally, there are areas in the city of Toronto that have specific markings that reserve pay and display areas during certain times of the year for motorcycles. Cars cannot park there. They can be charged for parking there. So that is a super duper bonus of being a motorcycle operator because you can go all sorts of places and save some money. And generally speaking, motorcycles are better on gas, and you know what? They want to promote alternate forms of transportation. Motorcycles are one of them. Granted, I'm sure there's some motorcycles that don't do very well on gas.
Yes, I'm sure.
Can we use the phone in a drive-through? The answer is be careful. There's no charge for us to lay on private property for handheld communication use. It only applies to highway, the actual road. But you can use the cell phone in a drive-through on private property. And if the use results in a collision, you may still be responsible, or you would still be responsible for the collision. You just wouldn't get charged, because we don't charge for collisions on private property either. We do charge for stunt. We charge for dangerous, which is criminal. There's things that do have jurisdiction on private property. Cell phone's not one of them.
Collisions, though, Sean, you said we don't charge at all. It all depends.
Fail to remain.
If you fail to remain, fail to report it either.
But so that's true. But I was thinking more along the lines of if you actually were a responsible human being, got into a collision and stayed, and did all the things you're obligated to do under law, then you wouldn't have any issues or charges. But I've had people who took off. I had someone who, we caught them, obviously, but they backed their car up over an older lady who was, walking to her car. And they actually picked that person up, put them in a chair, and then took off. Really bad. But had they just stayed, they couldn't have been charged. Amazing how that works. Don't hit people with your car. It's a big thing. Are you a police officer? PC is police constable. Sean Shapiro is my name. Toronto Police Service Traffic Services Unit is where I work, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop. So yes, I am in fact a police officer. I know that sometimes sitting down here you can't tell, but I tried to put as many clues as possible on the screen. And let's see here. Let's go. We're going to pick up one last one because we have gone 2 minutes over 11. We're late. People drive while watching shows all the time. Is it illegal? Watching television shows while you're driving? Yeah, it's illegal. Doesn't matter if it's on a cell phone, on a computer. If a screen is visible to the driver for entertainment purposes or anything outside of what's permissible, yeah, absolutely. The only thing you're allowed to use on a cell phone is going to be the phone mode and your GPS mode. Outside of that, you're breaking the rules. If it's your passenger's phone and they're just showing you, the scene from last night's Netflix movie, that's illegal. So you can be charged for having the screen visible to driver. You can be charged for using your handheld communication device or using your handheld entertainment device. And with that, we wrap the last question of the day. We will be back tomorrow for Friday celebrations. Yes, Friday, the last day of the week, the week that we do we do anything different on Friday other than calling it Friday and making horn sounds?
I think that's breakfast day.
Breakfast day. I may be well fed prior to going live, so that's good. I like that. With that, we say goodbye with no lag tomorrow, because we're not going to do the whole OBS thing. This was a disaster when it comes to OBS. TikTok, you were spared, but the folks who were watching on YouTube, there were some issues. Honda Civics and toaster ovens. Yeah, those are my go-tos. Absolutely, or Big Jeff Fresh. And Akela says 3 inches. I think you're talking about lowering. Well, we'll have to discuss that tomorrow on Friday's edition. Have a good one.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're out of here.